Continue. The next video I am going to dedicate to several issues. None of these videos are actually simple because everything I talk about was during the state of my being drugged up, paralyzed practically, incapable to defend myself, prevented from making my own decisions, even forbidden, prohibited from using my brain. Like, you would get a clue and you wouldn't be allowed to answer during MK Ultra use. In other words, employ your muscle inside of the brain that is that triggers the thinking process and gives you the capability to actually utilize brain for basically what they serve, basically. Unless you were interrogated, unless I was still interrogated for whatever reason they needed information to obtain, and that would be used to plant me stuff to support criminal evidence against me, etc., 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 basically. Planted criminal evidence in the future. In this video, I am going to be touching the subject of what exactly happened with the British royals. Why were the British royals you can see in the media Prince Andrew posing literally for a media as somebody who even suffered psychological issues, mental issues, and you know, that kind of stuff. And nobody really gets in the mind of these people. Doesn't have the authority to see inside of the in the brain of these people. However, the truth about my case is extremely well known throughout the entire European Union continent. As a matter of fact, throughout the entire circle which was employed, like top circle Illuminati, as some people refer to this as, employed by the global government, if you like. I don't even know how much makes sense. Of course it makes sense to talk about the governments, but in this case there were people from Germany, people from all over the world, I told you, and from India, and from China, from Russia, United States, Great Britain, and Scandinavia, and Spain, and Italy, from all over the place, and from Africa, South Africa, you name it, Kenya, Gambia, Nigeria, you name it, South America, Brazil, and Argentina, and so on. This is just a frequent circle. And as much as everybody knew about everyone's troubles, maybe in this case I'm going to refer to as mental health issues, people were these elites were very of getting their fingers in between. Nobody would dare, actually, whenever concerned somebody, they would maybe play with it and stuff, but nobody would actually dare to make this public, even from the media world as perspective. That just didn't make any sense whenever it pertained to the issues that otherwise should require even a mental health experts, very much in my case. You know that song, My Little Runaway, from Las Vegas? The thing is that British royals, before I get to this, I'm going to start off with, let's say, this individual here. His name is Oliver Illich. Look at this, he's on a Lincoln, but I don't think I have visited ever his page. Everything is documented on this internet address, under this internet address anyways. I'm actually glad that my computer is and my telephones are surveillance. It makes things much easier for me. I see a lot of Prince Charles, King Charles, etc., people advertising in the media their private residences and so on. And the thing about it is, I don't even click on the links. I don't want to know, I don't want to see it. These people actually hoped I would, in case the police would interrogate me. I wouldn't have proof if I would go over those links about my knowledge. So I see this heavily advertised all over the internet these days, all kinds of stuff. I just seen something about some kind of cottage, 2 cottages that Windsor advertised. Yeah, do it like this. Oliver Illich is a physician who examined me in 2022 for COVID. I did spoke about him on my news sites. I was very, they all suffer these days some kind of traumas and stuff like this, but I don't have time for it. All we're gonna do is we're gonna click this here. Ay, caramba. Like this, and we're gonna take one more like this, boom. Alright, so we're gonna take this guys here, and they are pertaining, sure, they're pertaining by what used to be even my neighbor. You know, it used to be my neighbor. This used to be my neighbor. Incredible stuff, incredible stuff. Truly incredible stuff. A grammar school, Durham, was located next door to me, where I used to live. This is the city of the Novo Mesto. No. This is located the next door to our house. So we give you a view here. This is the school. It's really big school, and you can see the play yard right there. And it was awesome because our house was this villa right here, almost next door. This is from my grandfather, and it was so easy to get to the school. I mean, this was really fantastic. And this is this grammar school, and Illich was just in front of our home. You know, this is our home, and Illich was, I think, like, I did spoke about this stuff, I'm not really sure. He was from this building, or no, this or that building right there. Practically, he was my neighbor. He is he is much older than myself. He's older man than myself. But, you know, this school, the MK Ultra started in the kindergarten, I told you, not in the kindergarten, but in the private care, where my parents would deliver me, also not too far from here. to a private care. And it was this Yugoslav military army officer, Tatalovic, whose wife would take care of me, and it was like a military, practically like you go to some Yugoslav officer to take care of your child, basically you deliver him the child. I think, from what I can recall, my mother and my father, they were told to whom they have to deliver the child for the early child care by the government, by their co-workers. Literally, because I remember them discussing these issues when I was like 4 years old. So I recall that it was all set in respect to where the mother had to bring me for a child care. And within this private child care, which was inside of the apartment, just apartment building, and inside of one of the apartments, which I already have spoken about, it was this lady whose husband was an officer in the Yugoslav army, and she would also transport me next door to the kindergarten at Aragoska. It's now known as the Ciciban. And the thing is, this is when it all started. I actually found myself even in Moscow, without, of course, knowing where the hell I am, with all kinds of children from throughout entire Eastern Europe. At the beginning, it was only Eastern European children. There were no children from elsewhere. It was the children mostly from Russia and from Ukraine, and then it looked to me like they would join the children also. The children would also join from Poland and a Czech Republic and so on. And the last would join the children from the Baltic states. At least this is how I have the impression about all this stuff. And on what they would even start to deliver the children from the Western Europe. But as I am talking about early childhood, like 4 year, 5, 6, 7, the foreign diplomats like Francois Mitterrand and his wife already were present. A socialist, Francois Mitterrand, he was extremely proud about. His place was preferred. Moscow was his preferred place whenever he had opportunity to vacation. It was Moscow. He spent tremendously a lot of time in Moscow, but he was also other diplomats. Like Joe Biden just happens is one of the diplomats. So I want to go back to this guy Illich. Oliver Illich, folks, this stuff was done as what I was told is going to be a research, if I even remember, that they would set me literally up with the people that were involved in MK Ultra, and they would want to see how much do I actually remember my early childhood, MK Ultra and such. Yeah. So we're talking about Oliver Illich right now, a physician who examined in 2022 at the General Hospital in Novo Mesto for COVID-19, and who, however, was involved in MK Ultra. Oh, now this is the stuff we're going to be discussing. Then I'm going to go back to British Royals are not easy videos. These are not very easy videos, are very demanding. It's easy for me to do them, but they consume a lot of time, energy, and all kinds of other issues are involved in it. This individual always was involved in MK Ultra, but he was not my, my mentor. I would refer to the people like Illich, or let's say a Yanko, a nurse Yanko, let's say, as mentors. Even that there is a difference in age between Illich and between nurse Yanko from Home for Elderly People that were involved in it. The thing is that they involved in this stuff just maybe a 2 year, even 1 year, but mostly minimum was 2 years older children from the same school that would become like a little mentors, and would even travel with a child that was subjected to MK Ultra. I was subjected into a class known as 1A. 1A was the class for which the two teachers explained to me that I have to be aware that this is a special kind of class. Everything is administered by the police, and if it doesn't suit me, that I should change even the school, go to another school and such. It was everything in hands of my parents. I had no idea what they were talking about. The two teachers already deceased, but they did interview them and they obtained their statements. And they did interview a lot of people, but the real account, I'm going to try my best to add to already existence. I will be the one giving you a complete background of even mental health issues of British royals, what is happening with these people, what the problems are with these people. This was the school of violence and chaos, Mayan. This was the school that I don't, attending this school in my life, if the worst would come to worse, like let's say I would one day face bombs raining from the sky as a child on this city, God forbid, I don't think I would psychologically notice any difference. Because the chaotic atmosphere, the atmosphere of the violence inside of the school was so present that it actually captured the minds of the British royals entirely, basically have stolen them from their reality totally into the world of something totally different. And it was more than just about, the chaotic violence that went on inside of the school. It really was about their own geopolitical agenda, which this case was extremely meaningful, as it did open the potential for them to penetrate into parts of Eastern Europe, which were otherwise totally out of reach, like beyond imagination. That stuff they have seen through this case and earned financially, rewarding stuff was so incredible that other people involved in this have repeatedly rated them, due to degree of violence against me, as mentally ill. And just as I stated right now, I'm talking about a prime minister such as Angela Merkel. I'm talking about a German government, top German government officials. I'm talking about other government officials and French and Scandinavian and such. Most of the people didn't have a guts, but it did broke out finally at my age, like I estimate definitely 12, if it was not 11, although probably was in the year 1980, 1982, I estimate in 1982, that people acknowledged them in the face as mentally ill, simply because they supported rebel attitude in me to a degree that I would be faced off here. You see the play out here, this little boy here running, let's say. I don't know. Maybe this is, I don't know, maybe, who knows? Maybe this is a third grader or something like this. Maybe fourth grader, I don't know. Okay, but what I'm talking about, is just for a minute. Let's imagine that this is a field with about maybe 300 children. Let's just say that we have like a sportny dan, školski sportny dan or something like this, and was maybe 300 children, maybe more. Let's say this means it was children all over the place. That would be like a soccer game, and you would have all this area here completely behind, also flooded with the children, and here and there you would hear some kind of altercation, physical altercation between somebody getting in the fight, some child getting in a fight with another child. That's some child, as I stated, some child will always have a support of 10 kids, maybe 15 kids more behind him, if necessary, even 50, 100 kids behind him. So the child that would face that degree of violence, they were always looking for a weaker children. But because of what I stated here, and because of the teachers, because of my case, where teachers were literally inciting herds of children in violence against me, it came to the point that it didn't even make sense anymore for me to defend myself from this insanity that went on here, like in real time. This was not even under MK Ultra, And boy, they hated me. They hated me because of my views on this whole chaotic Yugoslav, that means a greater Serbian Chetnik state, garbage that went on inside of our schools, inside of our homes, inside of our factories, at the river where you would be fishing. It didn't make any sense to be in a country with, what went on. And so it was that children would be looking for, like always, they would be looking like who is the strongest one, who is the biggest one, the strongest one, and so on. And then that kid would go and he would always try to prove himself. Really bullies. They had bullies like this, in front of with other kids, not in front of other kids, but also with support of other kids. And if he could not somehow manage to take down the victim, it would be another bully with whom he associated with at request of the teachers. The teachers selected the bullies who had to work together, who would assist one. Yeah, so at one point a child maybe would defend himself against maybe even the big bully, but if that bully would not get him down, which most often was the case, it would be another one that would take on him and it would be over. But in my case, it would take one bully, and it would take 2 bullies and 3 bullies and 4 and 5 bullies, and finally was 10 kids that flew all over the classroom and they couldn't get me down. Basically, it was brutal. And because of this, it always required them to come back and come back with more and more and more and more violence. And so, just to give you an idea, we played a soccer in this field that you see here. I don't know, maybe it was 300 kids, maybe it was more. And there you have it. Every here and there I would face bullshit. If I would move here, I would have somehow bullies find me. If I would move here, I would have somehow bullies find me. And that's exactly what it was. The bully gets to me, I get him down, I finish him off. And a next bully, kids are in shock. They get the next bully, the strongest one, gets after me as I move away on some other part of this, and I get him down. And the bully is now really, really not happy, and man, he's got like 300 kids going toward me, boy. It's like a fucking battalion going against one, It's a Slavic saying that says, in unity is a power. It never was the case because there was no unity. It was always a terror and chaos. But Slavic saying in unity is power, they claim it's Slavic, properly is translated in numbers the power is. And that also was the proper Soviet Yugoslav expression for the unity. There was no unity, but it was all about the numbers. What one could not do would 10. And if the 10 could not do, the 300 would. And this shit I'm talking about always was the case. If it was not the Sportny dan, it was the time for the exercise, for the physical exercise, and you would have 1, 2 classes, kids running out, and there would be all kinds of, or maybe 4 classes running out, first grade or second or third grade, and then it would be shit that would go on a daily basis with the teachers literally administering the violence, not supporting violence, but administering the violence. It was chaotic to a degree that it didn't make any sense to defend yourself. There was a teacher by the name Anton Buchar. Yeah, at this very school, and this was my razredni učitelj, like you say, I don't know, the main pedagogue, let's say, the main pedagogue. And this individual was athletic. He had like doctoratum finished, university degree. The teachers were extremely qualified. This is like you would have a doctor's work inside with a doctoral degrees inside. Literally, this is the way it was. And this teacher, however, hated me so much with a passion next to other teachers that he wanted the physical altercation with me personally. You're talking about me with an age, I don't know, age of maybe 11, attending this here that you see, where he would be selecting all these children. This was the case already since kindergarten. But boy, the situation became very much impossible because of what I already pointed out, where even injections that would be used, like a hormone injections that would be used to retard the physical development, the physical growth in me, they would start to implement beginning maybe even the first grade, second grade for sure, of this grammar school. These injections were used to retard the growth and would leave me, I'm not going to say blind, but semi-blind, with tears dripping out of my eyes for like 14 days after I would receive them, and they would have effect for up to like a month. But from the beginning, it was like every 2 weeks, and these injections would be given as soon as they would see that my immune system responded by ignoring them, and also increased. If they couldn't handle me with the daily attacks, assault, with the packs of children from 10, 15, 20, that they couldn't physically handle me, it would be immediately, they wanted at all the cost to seed in me depression, to control my life, basically to balance my life through depression, through the beatings, through the torture. At home, environment was just as chaotic, insane, with extreme violence actually on a daily basis. So I was a kind of a wild kid who, however, was extremely polite. And as much as they wanted to portray me, even to the schoolmates, as a hyperactive, the schoolmates highly have disagreed with it. because there was no hyperactivity. I did not attack anybody. I was always polite. I never objected to anything teachers or parents had to say, have complied, and did not miss absolutely any hours of attendance when compared to other children who have all the time problems with a number of hours of attendance. If you're talking about my index, school index, that one probably had 10 grades for every quarter, every subject for a quarter of a year, of the school year. It was a war with the teachers losing patience and everything, doing everything possible to demote me, to depress me, to, ridicule me whenever they called me up in front of the class to answer the questions and so on. Violence was all the time. Violence was like, it was it. I mean, there was no chance to be part of the class, really, like on an intellectual level. So I was pretty much responding to external attacks, assaults, I would say. And this is basically how it was. Studying on my own at home, whatever I did, and it was just like climbing, dragging myself from grade to grade, with the teachers predicting, doing all their best to actually get me into a school for mentally retarded children, handicapped children. The idea was to get me into the children for mentally disabled, with children with special needs. The war broke out in Moscow between me and Russia. I was delivered from Novo Mesto, from Slovenia to Russia to Moscow, as early as at age 7. They could not get me aboard of any of this Serbian, Russian. At age 8, the war just between me and between the Russians who teach me Russian language and so on, literally Russian language, that I wasn't even aware that I understand Russian so well. During MK Ultra, however, they did deliver me to Belarus and to Moscow and teach me Russian language. It was the gap between me and between a Russian and Serbian side was becoming more greater and greater, with guaranteed me that I'm a dead walking child without having absolutely any prosperity in life already, sometimes at age, I don't know, maybe even 8, I don't know, 9, it was 100%, it was 9 already. So you're talking about like a 3rd grade, 2nd grade, 8, at age 8, the teachers that I mentioned to you, the 2 teachers, went insane. And they started to convince me during MK Ultra right here in this school that I'm dead, that if I'm not going to give in into a Russian stuff, I was here on this side at the early age. This were the classroom from the 1st to the 4th grade. They will kill me, destroy me, and then they finally lost all the temperament, and the teachers alone wanted to kill me here inside of this school by already bypassing the MK Ultra. And it appears to me that the teachers no longer, they did not know how to control themselves and have not differentiated deliberately, not because it would be something mentally wrong with them, as I was going to almost suggest, but deliberately no longer have differentiated between mistreatment under MK Ultra and in real time. So I find myself assaulted by the teachers, smashing from behind my head and stuff like this during, the stuff during the classes in real time, even no longer under MK Ultra and so on. Labeled as a dead walking child without any future, anything like in a 2nd grade of the grammar school. In all this, beginning the age 4, 5, 100% British royals who were frequent visitors in Moscow noticed me I was becoming very interesting to them because of my views, because of my different refusing to see it basically the Russian way, the Serbian way. They noticed that there is a difference between me, between them, and the case became interesting to them for all the wrong reasons. It was about how they're going to save me, how they're going to help me out, but here's the account about exactly what went on, how it all happened, some of which I have written yesterday on the website, where I stated how they promised me they're going to save me and such, and what they were doing instead is they were taking a full advantage of it to create even deeper and deeper and deeper psychological problems to me. They were doing absolutely everything possible to. So these are the links you're going to see me. I'm going to publish underneath. To get me into a psychological crisis, claiming that they were on my side, that are going to eventually save me, claimed how they saved already a lot of children from the Eastern Europe, that it is like this, that whenever they observe stuff like this, they will do the stuff like this. And they demonstrated and suggested in front of me how they were picking up the children and took them from Britain to from Russia or Yugoslavia and Poland and so on, that they took them to Britain with idea to save them, and made me actually beg them for life, literally. Princess Anne was really good at, with the Queen Elizabeth, taking me down, like psychologically, really, I'm not going to say humiliating me, but sucking the energy for life in a very, very bad, scary way. With Prince Charles and Prince Andrew, playing literally with the hope of a human being, of a child, basically. So, for what even brought additional problem to me in front of the schoolmates who absolutely knew about everything, for those that did not witnessed real time. School, which had other children, older as I stated, that would go and witness and see and report back, and with teachers talk about these issues. I was actually acknowledged as a traitor, and as such even guaranteed by the teacher that I have no vision, no prosperity, no way, in any way, in absolutely any way to any chance for survival, man. This basically is what this was. Now, the thing is that the violence, the degree of violence, when I was talking to you about the psychological problems of these British royals, that they were noticed in public to behave funny and such. The thing is that all these promises, it didn't stop there. It actually went on with British royals taking sides in physical fights. They actually turned into a mob of adults that would become addicted to a child violence. You watch, maybe you did some movies about the children's violence, like it would be like totally without any superiors, any supervision. That's what Americans told me to compare, but this was completely different, because remember when I told you about the teacher, Anton Butcher, and all these other teachers that were involved in it? Man, this teacher wanted to fight me physically, personally. But because he couldn't fight me physically, personally, because he was not allowed, and he wanted to, and he did during MK Ultra punch me, He did punch me even during, he assaulted me during MK Ultra sessions. He wanted to cause a physical altercation between me, who was 11, 12, 13, and 14 years old, with him. Not only to physically beat me up, because he was much bigger, adult, grown up, but to destroy me like on a different level. The thing is that the degree of violence that went on here, inside and here, he picked up like the biggest guy, and then he would be, like I said, exactly what I described to you. One bully, two bullies, three bullies behind him, and another 10 bullies in line, basically lined up if necessary to give the one support. You know, it makes no fucking sense to fight back anymore, but I still did. Here and there I did, just to prove them the reality, basically, because they wanted to kill God in me. I thought they wanted to kill God in me. They wanted to see me dead, like brain dead at all costs. That was to them the thing. And the one who became addicted to this violence, yeah, especially who became addicted to this violence, was this individual here whose name is Milan Kuchan. This is the guy who was a violence addict. Next to the Milan Kuchan, it was other people. Drnošek, Potrč, Miran Potrč, a whole palette of the politicians that would commute from, because of me, literally from Ljubljana to a Novo Mesto, straight into this school to watch the violence that teachers would provoke. Just out of like pure pleasure, instead of you're doing your job, your work, they would just go and with other politicians, they would start to take sides, foreign politicians like British royals, on who's going to get whom, and if you can beat him up completely, basically. That's what I got the feeling, that they wanted to kill God in me. Because, you know, I found myself totally isolated, completely on my own, against exactly what I stated, with totally nothing on my side other than during MK Ultra. Prince Charles and Prince Andrew even supporting idea about me, about a further, I'm not going to say sacrifice, but about the further rebellions against this lunacy. Because to these politicians, and I'm talking about the Sergei Shoigu, about the Sergei Lavrov, these people visited this school, this very school, in my second grade. When I was 8 years old, it wasn't about Moscow school anymore where they would have me. It wasn't one school, it was 2 schools, 3 and 4, and even all the way up to what was high school. But at the high school, the Russian high school in Moscow, where they wanted to continue to play this shit, I totally gave in. I didn't want to even participate under any circumstances anymore. Because there's nothing, it was the same shit like here. It was nothing other than violence. It was like obsession with a violence. A kicking in my left foot with a foot, at top of my left foot, I told you about the injuries, was implemented, introduced already at the third or maybe even second class of this school here. By the teachers, they instructed the children to do exactly this, so that it was like a form of punishment. As a child, I did not understood anything what kind of form of punishment this was. The only thing I knew was that it was a children that were 2 years older that would come and they would smash my foot with their foots atop with the shoes. And this is the shit that went on and on and on and on and on and on and on. And it just somehow did not cause injuries enough that I would suffer health consequences. For the proof of what I stated, I will point you out to the other children with who also attended the school and have suffered a very similar consequences as to one I have just described right now. And their consequences very, very soon, very quickly, were cancerous, were deadly, basically enough for the children to suffer the consequences for the rest of their life, for their entire life. Nobody really knows how was it that in my case, the amount of injury that probably superseded, it exceeded probably about 10 amount of what other children got. I still didn't get any injuries. I continued to go on in my life, basically as if nothing really happened, with first time suffering the problem in my left foot in the military when they did to me during MK Ultra, without my ability to defend the same thing. It my leg that swallowed a little bit, but the only thing I did was I just put the military shoes on and I marched forward without any complaining, anything, like made out of iron. It did not do anything to me, basically. I was just built like this, simple as this. And so what happened with this, with British royals was, I remember when we moved to this house here, and this was the house that father built because he sold the house from grandfather. Maybe he stated me that he wanted to escape from this lunacy here. And we moved here to this Krka village. And so he sold this house, and bought the house in the village. I think that the village was here somewhere, like one of this here maybe. That was, yeah. He was behind this building here, in one of these apartment buildings, that's right. He is older than myself, and you know, since British royals acknowledging the stuff that went on, all these fake promises about saving me, and just basically giving me, instead, you know, basically challenged me in all sorts of ways, if think you could go on and if you could do this, if you could do that, if you could march on and march on and march on. Slovenian government even got a French government officials to advise them on how to keep British royals entertained. Because British royals are so extremely lucrative for the Russian side, they wanted to entertain them as much as possible, either for the Moscow's sake or Belgrade's sake. The difference, I think, it was none. But it was a lot of military secrets and all kinds of stuff they needed. And to keep them around always was extra information. So this became for them like a gig. And when this became a gig to them, it was the French officials, it was German officials who told me, you have to distance yourself from these British royals or they will destroy you. And the thing about me was that I was going to do it. I was going to really distance myself from them, even that I was kind of addicted to them, because it always appeared to me that they were on my side, that they always came, that they always got somebody that would come and help me. This help me stuff was just pushing me deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper into it totally unbearable environment, life, basically. Life didn't make any fucking sense anymore. And literally with the Prince Andrew in the room where my father has these trophies, where I would sleep, he would be next to me in the room on the floor. This did not start, sleeping on the floor did not start with my purchase of this how we say in Slovenia, we say pena, we say this sponge that you lay down on the floor, and you lay down and you sleep on one, which I purchased here in it's not the IKEA, it's whatever the store here in Slovenia is. It's going to come to me. It didn't start then. It started much earlier because of the British royals, because of others who would travel. You had elites that would travel to Adriatic Sea, and along they would have all kinds of prerequisites, tools for lodging, sleeping on the floor, and so on. Mattresses. This is not mattress. This is like, it's like a sponge actually that makes your lying on the floor bearable. And they would be using this stuff camping. They would do a lot of camping and stuff, and they would have this kind of stuff. And whenever they would stop here in our house, this is how it all started. In our new house, they would start using that stuff. So the police, it was not the Slovenian police who had this. Slovenian police learned about what I stated from the British royals, from the French, from Italians, from whoever would stop by, or as per what they used for camping and stuff like this. They love camping. Dutch, everybody loved camping along the Adriatic coast and also in other areas. And once they would learn about this, I estimate about probably at my age, so 11, so you're talking about probably at my age 15, the police would have already their own also stuff like this that you would throw on the floor and sleep, whatever they have used. Like, not gonna say pillows, but the kind of stuff that you just lay down on the floor and like a little mattresses and sleep on them. So I was totally wrong about it, but when I think about Andrew that found his way in our house already, as soon as my father moved us from the house I demonstrated you to the village, I know de facto where and how we had the conversation. During this conversation, Prince Andrew stated to me that it appeared to me like so sad, the whole thing. I gave up on Charles and I gave up on Andrew. It was a time when I gave up on Charles and Andrew. And do you know how the two got my confidence, my trust back? They got the trust back literally by saying that Andrew stated to me, he said to me, he said, the two did not understood why do I like them so much. Why did I became attached to the two so much. The two were good-looking fellows, and these two good-looking fellows didn't really, never I have seen them giving me problems. Quite contrary, as I stated. And so I liked the two of them very much. For me, these two were like, I don't even know how to express. They were more than friends to me. They became like very, very exclusive people to me. This is basically how they groomed me to see these British royals. When I say they, I say about Soviets, I say here Slovenian police and so on. That's what they want me to have in my eyes, I suppose. But maybe I am guilty myself too. Because as I said, I like them. And you know how they gained the trust back? Because this shit was already completely unprecedented. I was not giving in, and they were gonna, how can I say, man? They were gonna lynch me. It was a fucking public lynching that went on an open field no longer even behind the class doors inside of the school. Prince Andrew stated to me, he said, he said, he was all depressed. It appeared to me even more so because he was depressed, because it appeared to me like he didn't know how to tell me, what already other people have told me. Basically, I felt that he was going to tell me, kid, the best thing is to just curse us out and just basically go on your own because they're going to kill you. Pretty much is what he told me also. I felt, but it was indirectly. He said to me, it was two things. He just couldn't understand why is it that I always liked them. It was like they were like my parents or something like this. My friends, older friends. Basically, the relation it became extreme, and he said to me, he said, I'm not, why do you like us, and then why do you like me and this and that, I didn't have no fucking answer for this. I mean, and I didn't know what answer I would give as a child. What the fuck you want me to tell you? I mean, that's a strange question. I mean, after we have been through so much, you're asking me why the fuck I like you. I mean, there was no answer to this question. There was no answer to this question, and he said, if you would know me, Andrew said this to me, if you would know me, you wouldn't even like me, if you would know me, you would not even like me. And I was like, I was like deeply, deeply touched when he said that if I would know him, it's what already other people stated, that I'm under MK Ultra impression and I don't know what the fuck is going on and this and that. But it was not true. It was not true. I knew exactly everything, And finally Andrew comes at my age, probably 11, and says to me, 12, 11, and he says to me, 12 probably, and he says to me, if you would know me, you probably wouldn't even like me. And I said, what do you mean by this? If I would know you, what do you mean by this? If I would know you, I know you. And he said, no. He said, I mean, these people have been on the picture since from forever. Definitely since age 5. And I was like, to me it seems crazy and strange. I've seen so many people involved in MK Ultra from all over the world, from all over the place. By now, I was a real cosmopolitan. I was a real global cosmopolitan, MK Ultra cosmopolitan. What I have seen by the age 11, 12, it's probably what people, I don't want to know about this stuff. I mean, probably don't see that get involved in MK Ultra. Maybe by that time, maybe 100 people that taste MK Ultra don't see what I have seen by the age 11, by the age 12 already. Because my life, there was no life. It was MK Ultra, boy. Everything that went on was MK Ultra. It was maybe fishing with the father that I went and stuff like this, or maybe sometimes I would go out here and play with the kids and stuff like this. I would do that stuff, but the MK Ultra, this stuff was just overwhelming. It was too much of it. And to me, saying to me that I don't know you, that was like, it just didn't feel right, So I said, what do you mean by this? He said, like, you know me, he said, you know me only like this, during MK Ultra. He said, you know me like only during MK Ultra, but you don't know me from the real world. And I said to myself, I was thinking about it, and I said to myself, wow. I said to myself, it can't be worse than that. I mean, if he likes me, I mean, the way this was under MK Ultra, when I remember him, I only had a good memories about these people, regardless of what appeared not a good experience here and there. Still much better than experience that I had experience with other people, with Russians and others. And so, I kind of said to myself, figure out, well, I mean, if this is it, I said to myself, if it's like this under MK Ultra, then in the real time, you must be better person than this. You must be a good person. He gained my trust. He gained my what I was gonna simply drop. Really, I really didn't know. This was about age 12, I say. 5th, 6th grade, I would say, and I was depressed. In real time, I became depressed because I figured out, I was like, fuck, I've seen so many things, and regardless of what you do, you can't get away no matter what you do with this stuff. And so it must have been even maybe 6th grade, and I figured out it's going to be 2 more years, you're going to manage. If you're going to manage, and and you say to yourself, this hellhole, man, this was like, just listening other children, they were talking about how, they can't wait to graduate here and go to the next level, to drive me insane even more. I was like, I just have to wait another 2 years, boy, to finish this, and I am going to be free. That's basically how it was, from one hell to another, basically from here to high school, and from high school and so on. Through everything, every stage of my life, it was exactly as I described to you right now. So, I kind of figure out, I'm just gonna stick with these people, and they acknowledge them as mentally ill. Their vision, their taking sides in a violence. Yeah, this was in the 6th grade. Was for the German people, for other diplomats. It was unacceptable, and they demanded from me to distance myself from them, or I will be destroyed. And again, Prince Andrew won the day with my continuing to embrace them. Basically, I'm just giving you an idea about, and it apparently left them with bruises, because it was the first time probably in life that it would be a top diplomats that would label them as mentally ill. It was indifferent between this individual and people in Moscow, that these people were eager to see the children fighting for one another, with one another. Prince Charles and Prince William embraced blood sports. For those that don't know these people, they do wear silicone masks, and they do go to these blood sports, anywhere from boxing to kickboxing to all that kind of stuff, and are large fans of blood sports, physical violence, basically. Now, that the violence, the children violence, will become to them such a big deal. It appears that they were fascinated with this bullshit. There were other people that were fascinated with other issues. Um, they were fascinated with these issues, and God knows what other issues too. I don't know. I don't want to say whatever I don't know, but I know about this issue concerning me in particular. It was a lot of stuff that went in Moscow, pedophilia related stuff, all kinds of stuff. And this is just my 2 cents about their mental health related problems, issues. I think, based on what I stated, that I became more than their Jesus. I became, in a way, a problem. But this problem became a very, very lucrative, because I was used to lure them. And, there is a saying, a business with a pleasure, combination, hand in hand. That's basically what they got. They got, upon the fall of the Soviet Union, they witnessed and assisted me in trashing a Soviet Union, what consequently brought on knees also greater Serbian Chetnik state known as Yugoslavia, seeing stuff that was beyond their imagination would be possible, with a little child standing up to all these big Soviet and Yugoslav bullies with everything he had, and he really didn't have nothing than just being delivered back into basically defiance, rebellion against the violence. Basically, that's all there was, which they exploited to the degree of, like, whether I would even do to degree of violence, whether I would even be capable to follow the school, attend the school, return back to Moscow from war, if somehow I could even survive in the environment. This is what powered them. And so I think in many, many, many ways, because of the turn they took against me, they became completely aware of other diplomats involved in all this, observing this from the distance, that I became a very big liability for them, or rather a problem after the solution. After the fall of the Soviet Union and everything, it was time to make the money, and to make the money was to make the crime to me. They financed, on behalf of Russians, or I should say traded violence for gas, oil, petroleum, for both sides, military technology trade, extremely, extremely lucrative stuff was happening. The relations became so close, so open, so sincere, so trade-wise, business-wise, fantastic, really, lucrative beyond reaches, beyond any imagination one possibly could imagine. So those are my 2 cents about the British Royals. When it comes to the Nurse Yanko was a bully. And when I mentioned to you Illich, Oliver Illich, this was an older man, about the same, younger than what I think is psychiatrist Peter Kapsch. Yeah, the two were used next to the police officers from the Novo Mesto police station. The Novo Mesto police station was located here. Let me demonstrate you. It's a totally different story when it comes to the Novo Mesto police station. The Novo Mesto police station was located right here. And from this police station, I would have police directors, police. They would. We had also a neighbor that was a police officer, but this was not a Slovenian guy. Boucher was also from Novo Mesto, a police officer who was involved this, I don't know, since age 7, probably age 6. This police station I would have in this play yard that I demonstrated with the children were literally police officers like this that would it would be like somebody like, let's say, Nurse Yanko, and he would have like in afternoon hours, let's say, like even in afternoon hours the violence didn't stop. If you would go and play, police would have the patrols, and these patrols consisted of the children, which one was a bully, like, and then it would be other bullies, like 2 bullies escorting him, and they would go and they would randomly pick a group of children as the older children. They would use always the older children, 2-3 years older children, and if they would be like young, smaller children that would play, they would approach to them. Like, let's say where I'm at here, let's say this sidewalk, you would have a police officer, and right here, let's say, is exactly what it took place right here. See where this child here in the middle is? Right behind that bush is where I was playing with 2 other children. It was Yanko who approached me when I was like in the 4th grade with a group of kids. He was already doing, in afternoon hours, problems to other kids and so on. It was like a rainy day. And he approached to me, and he was like a king, like basically did not know about any child that would stand up to him and this and that. And then he also tested me, and it really didn't work. And very, very briefly he found himself on the floor, and it became very, very evident to his escort that he's not going to be capable to get anything done over there, and it's actually better to go before it's going to get really bad. And the one who summoned him from the distance, and that's a good question how the hell that shit was done, was a police officer from the sidewalk who also lived in the area. And one of the police officers, who was not a police officer but was doing exactly the kind of stuff, also was Oliver Illich. When Oliver Illich, police started to deputize older children and older, even young men, like a psychiatrist Peter Kapsch, and they would get their own group of children, bullies, and they would literally go and parade around with these children. They would have children, and probably through, I don't know what they were using to communicate, but they had ability to call these children from the distance, and the children would hear them. As soon as they would hear them, they would turn around and walk away. But it was never clear about, like, what the fuck, I mean, or they would give them a sign or whistle or whatever it would be. The children would just disappear in a moment. You could have trouble in one moment, in another moment the children, for unknown reason, would just turn around and walk away. If it wasn't promising or whatever it would be, because they administered, it would be the end before it could escalate into something else. If, and it did happen to me, that I got their bullies under me on the floor and I started to wipe the floor with them, it did happen to me that I had the police officer literally coming to me and slapping me. It happened also, the situation like this, that on several occasions I would have police officers even, and I didn't know what the fuck, why. I mean, I haven't done anybody. This is like a group of Like, you couldn't fucking defend yourself no matter what you would do. Even this kind of stuff went on. But when it comes to psychiatrist Peter Kapsch, when I was in the grade, when I was like in the 6th grade, they would gather us here, and it was MK Ultra, and I was literally, not only during MK Ultra, but even during excursions, they would approach and they would communicate with us separately from MK Ultra, and it was introduced by the police to me. I was at the time age 12, so I don't know, but it well could be that he entered the school for the psychiatrist, something like this. He was involved before he even went into the school for psychiatrist, in exactly the way I stated to you right now. So you want to have my 2 cents about these people, whether I know them or I don't know them, where do I know them from, how do we know each other from? There you have it. Here I'm going to give you a date and time. Yes, I work tirelessly around the clock. And you know what I'm going to do right now? Yeah? It's good I have a laptop here with me. Right now, what I am going to do is I am going to do what a police investigators told me to do. They give me an ultimatum. Whether, let me demonstrate you this. That's a window that is open. Yeah, you can see it right there. You can see the storage I created for the cherries. During MK Ultra, I was taught, plain and simple, they will destroy me if I buy myself cherries. However, that I would not survive without the cherries, due to medical problems. With the cherries, that I have a chance. Without buying cherries, that I even don't have any chances. Kidney, liver, spleen. Here is what am I going to do right now. They figure out that if the window that you have seen right there is open throughout the day with the heat coming in, the cherries would only last for about 1 week. With the window closed, maybe up to, they told me, like 3 weeks. So the next thing I am going to do, because this is what they were playing with during MK Ultra inside here. Yeah, you're gonna have a police investigators. This is a proof about also I'm gonna submit about the police that was playing with the cherries, have them sorted out on a doorsteps exactly the way I have it right now. What I'm gonna do is, according to the police instructions, I am gonna go ahead and take time to have those cherries translated all the way down to basement. I am a real deal. I'm no bullshit. Thanks for watching this video. Before I do, I'm going to take a time and date so the police understands and knows exactly how long I had these cherries here. So that wouldn't be some kind of a bullshit play and you go and destroy me my stuff. They were motivated and could barely wait that they could come and do damage to the cherries. The police officers told me they are going to be monitoring, watching, and according to their knowledge as per how long these cherries can, more or less, they will go and take steps to destroy them. So this is going to be used as ultimate proof also in respect to cherries, for which I stated the police was the one that demanded from me to purchase them, or will be dead. It's 0416 hours right now, Monday 17, 2023. What else is for me to say other than thank you very much for watching this video. Till next time.